There are several families in my congregation, right, someone, not me.
Assuming a pastor.
Yeah, who are practicing homeopathic remedies, oils, medicine, home birth, etc. Do you have any advice about how I should be applying the Word of God in my preaching to these practices? And do you have any reading recommendations?
Yeah, I would say that a pastor who is, let's say he's got a cohort in his congregation that's really getting into some of these remedies in a problematic way. It's way too important to them. I believe that if he just preached a sermon on against homeopathic remedies, that would be ill-advised and ineffective. It's just not going to work. All he's going to do, he's not going to create solutions. He's not pastoring the flock. He's throwing a hand grenade into the middle of the flock. But he's exactly right that this is worrisome, and he's got to pay attention to it. So if I were confronted with a situation like that, where there were a lot of people starting to go in for this sort of thing, I would do a series of sermons on fear, anxiety, God's sovereignty, our desire to control our lives. I would go after the root of all this stuff.
Why do you think that's the root of those issues?
Well, because of how they're pitched, how they're sold, right? So if you don't start taking and this is how all medicines are ultimately sold. If you don't start taking this XYZ medicine, you're going to die of this. And so the question ought to be, well, if I do start taking it, what am I going to die of then? We're all dying.
Right.
We're all going to die. And so when you talk to people, or you look at how these things are discussed on Facebook or on social media, you see a strong undercurrent of fear and anxiety. Okay, you don't want your kids vaccinated because of all these terrible things that could happen. And other people want them vaccinated because of all these terrible things that could happen. And what we should be doing as Christians and as a Christian pastor ought to be tackling, the axe ought to be laid at the root of the tree, not at the twigs out at the end of the branches. Even if he feels like he could win an argument with a particular homeopathic remedy, or if he could win the argument, your goal is to win the people, not to win the argument. And if you removed all the fear, all the anxiety, all the father hunger, all the root spiritual issues, the foodie issues, the foodie issues and the health nut issues and all those things, they would just evaporate. They can't function in a wholesome, healthy, trust the Lord, exuberant, celebratory environment. They just can't do it.
So at the beginning, you made a distinction between, you said if you've got people who are into this, I forget exactly how you put it, but to an unhealthy degree, or which makes it sound like there's you're perfectly comfortable with some level of participating in that.
Yeah. So this is the thing. Medicine of all sorts is just plain weird.
Okay.
Okay. We are fearfully and wonderfully made, and I don't have any a priori commitment to a position that says home folk remedies or ancient remedies or Chinese remedies have absolutely nothing to them.
Okay.
The world's a strange place, right? And so I don't have any. Why should acupuncture fix a headache?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
But if somebody figured out 2,000 years ago that it can, and you remove all the religious elements of it, you don't do anything like that. I don't think that it has to be approved by the AMA to work. And if it's not end of life, we're going to roll the dice on this weird treatment. That's how Steve Jobs died. One of the richest men in the world, pursued home home remedies and died. Well, he might be dead if he'd pursued conventional medicine. And I don't have anything that says that every conventional approach works, or that every alternative approach doesn't. So if the stakes are low, right, and someone says, "Oh, you've got this little ailment. My aunt had that, and she rubbed orange juice concentrate on it, the spot went away." Well, that's a low investment, right? So I don't have any qualms about people trying stuff as long as they're not driven by anxiety, fear, competition, etc.
Are there clear triggers in your mind that you've crossed over the tripwire? What are the things you're looking for when you've gone from somebody who thinks that oil is useful to this oil has become a
Winston Churchill defined a fanatic as someone who can't change his mind and won't change the subject. So and this is something I've done as a pastor, is the great Pauline principle is mind thine own business, right? So if you're in a congregation and someone says, "Sure, we do this is what we practice in our family, but we're happy to leave everybody else alone," that's not a fanatic, right? Fanatics can't leave everybody else alone. They're on a crusade.